right, welcome to the Lockdown Podcast. We have a lot to get to and not enough time in the day to get to it. So we'll just kind of blatantly start it how we start it. So Raw obviously was recorded, a double episode to give all the wrestlers essentially the week off. So we tried not to spoil too much. If you obviously weren't there, which is probably like none of you besides me and Tim. So I don't think we're breaking too many eggs here. But so it was kind of weird how they showed you Raw, right? So it's kind of funny is that they misordered the flow of Raw from what we watched to what you seen on when you see on the recording or like when they put it on TV. So it was really weird because like the Rhea segment that was at the end of the show. Like that was that last like Easter egg of like a moment when she came out and everything. And so very interesting how they kind of put it. It's a little bit weird, but yeah. So I mean, I guess we'll just go how the show got written. But so you had Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, that whole dynamic come out, which honestly, so I was watching this video the other day, or actually earlier today, and it's kind of funny that you have both champions on the same side of War Games. You have the women's Money in the Bank holder in this match on the same team. And I feel like if there's any ample time to her to pick who she wants to cash in on, it's probably a dynamic that hasn't happened in ever. Just because there's really never been a person with Money in the Bank in the War Games match. So like this gives this whole thing a twist, to put it lightly. And so I mean, yeah, and so we had. I mean, I'll keep it to like the topic of the women's War Game match. But long story is Jade Cargill got basically put through a car. I don't know exactly, but she's out indefinitely. So one that puts the tag team, women's tag team things kind of on the ropes a little bit. That also puts War Games at risk, obviously, because if you don't have Jade Cargill back, it's 4-on-5 essentially. I don't know who is going to fill that fifth slot. It's interesting, to put it lightly, because you don't have much people as far as that would want to go into that, I guess. I mean, the only people I can think of is if there's like a person that comes back, like maybe Charlotte Flair, or maybe they toss in Bayley. It's an interesting thing now that we essentially have a week to Survivor Series War Games that we don't know who essentially their replacement is. Yeah, so I mean, so what do you guys really think? Like, who do you think would make sense, or at least be a person projected to basically fill that slot?
So what I've read on the internet is that Bayley and Lash Legend will be filling in for Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, as they're both out of War Games. So it won't be just Jade Cargill who's out. That's what I read on the internet, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to be announced by Creative. I think if they do go that route, let's see what Lash Legend can do in a really big orchestrated match. I think she's turned a corner with her training and with her understanding of the product, and I really think that this could be a make or break for her, and I think she's up for the challenge. Just like some of the stuff I'm hearing about B-Fab, who's really grown as a performer. Um, I bring
Yeah, I
into
mean,
question the
I see. Yeah,
legitimacy
yeah,
of Jade's injury, just because I know that that she has struggled with being more fluid in the ring and being more careful. And I think if you put her in war games, that it'll really expose her as not being nearly as ready as, like you were saying, Seth, the hype has been about. And I know we all understand that it does take time and it does take effort and process in the process. But, at some particular point, you know, you can't pull a bona fide star out of a match because they can't perform.
right. Well,
They're either going to have to get it together, or they eventually will, either send her to NXT and rehab her in NXT and spend the time with her there, or they'll just let her go, which is unfortunate because Jade is just straight money. When you think about
well,
the
and I
athleticism
mean,
and the
yeah,
look, yeah,
she's a money grab for sure. I mean, I didn't really see anything that they said anything about Bianca being out as well. When it was basically watched, she was in that triple threat for a chance at the Women's United States Championship belt. She left the ring to basically see what that was. I don't know if that instantly says she's not going to be in the match. So
right.
again, we have Monday and we always have Friday to see what progresses, and for once we don't actually know. So
Yeah.
and
Which
so
is good
it's
because yeah,
I yeah,
I think we do need to be a little more spoiler free with the product, in the sense of what's being leaked out from WWE and what's being uncovered and what trickles down to us, so we can be surprised and re-engage with the efforts that they're giving us. So, but in general, the way that I think about Jade Cargill is that she is a premier athlete and she is taking care of herself. And if she's got some weird freak injury that no one has heard about or whatever have you, I would be shocked because she takes very good care of herself. Yeah, you can just look at her and say, like, she's doing everything she can, and yeah, so whatever this injury is, I wish her the best in a speedy recovery and that she's back in the ring and performing and doing her best. you know that's it. I
well,
just
and
I'm shocked that they did that.
I don't buy into Jakara Jackson joining it, but I do buy into Lash Legend
Oh yeah, yeah,
um because Jakara Jackson is still kind of in proving ground mode, even though yes, they had a phenomenal match on that PLE recently. And I've seen a lot there. It's just from a stature standpoint, I don't want a jobber type of stature in that match. I want an absolute star. And Jade is a big, strong person, and so is Lash Legend. So it's almost like swapping out the same for the same.
yeah.
So I think that would be the fit. And we'll obviously we'll find out tomorrow and Friday, where we're going to be sitting as far as the actual final group. It's a giant wait and see. I really was like, honestly, okay, so Raw, okay, yeah, Rey Mysterio's gonna like beat Chad Gable, Ivy Nile. Like that's nothing of importance to me. I mean, I hate to just roll through it, but like
It
this
was a
was
good
some
match.
like, I mean, yeah, it was a good match. It's just it's very mid cardy. It's very like a small amount of storyline build, which it's just good filler, and it has enough story to be to be like not quite a filler, but not quite top tier.
I actually thought something was happening with the whole Chad slapping the heck out of his teammates there.
Yeah,
It was,
that was that was
That was
epically
flipping him
good.
up,
Like,
man.
he
I love
slapped
that.
him like 2 or 3 times, and his brother like starts slapping him and hyping him. I was like, that's the epitome of like really like
beat me
What
more.
yeah, just like
just slap me one more time.
just get off the juice or stop
Yes, pump
freebasing,
it up it.
pre-workout before you have a match. I think that's what it was. They were trying to shake off
Probably.
the effects of pre-workout
Right?
before a
Yeah,
match.
it's
Yeah,
so.
we can
Oh,
hear those
God.
slaps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was wild.
So now we had Braun Breaker versus Sheamus, and it sucks that Sheamus is still on the outs waiting for his IC title
I
to
was
complete his
pissed.
Grand Slam.
I
I'm
knew he wasn't
irritated
going
with
to
it.
win.
Like
Let's
they're putting
let's
him
make
in
that
there and like,
yeah.
ugh.
Let's
And so
make
and
that
obviously stupid Ludwig Don Baby Oil freaking interrupts the match. Go figure. And and now it looks. I don't know if it's confirmed. We don't have anything confirmed that there's going to be a match with a triple threat. I feel like it just shouldn't. I feel like Ludwig needs to kind of stay out the way, let Sheamus and Braun do their thing.
I think he's gonna interfere again.
They're
And
going to
is it
interject him in the
me?
match. I mean, it's
Is
a
it me or
shoo-in,
but
but
does just as a side note rant on Ludwig, does he look like a fried pickle to you or not?
he looks like
When
Pickle Rick.
Yeah, he looks like a fried pickle, like very very bronzy, like he's sharing bronzer with everyone. So like I really wish he would just like not do that, but I also understand that it's part of the presentation. But sometimes people it's just way too much. Just
I mean, and that's the thing is like, but he is a specimen though. Like, I mean, like
yeah,
all BS aside,
but,
like he literally
yeah.
is like I'm trying to draw a comparison, but like, he's good. It's just that he needs to get away from Gunther and be his own thing.
But
or maybe go join Giovanni and just be a regular tag team and don't have Gunther hanging over your shoulder.
They tried that tag team, and I thought Imperium was decent as a tag team, but it just felt like typical heel tag teams. I think being a lackey to Gunther is part of the WWE cookbook, and it reminds me just a little bit of Ted DiBiase and Virgil. That dynamic, it's both a little bit more verbal from both people, but it reminds me of that dynamic when I see someone who's like attached to a bigger star. It's kind of like
it's like almost a partial, like just a leech, honestly. Like, but the thing is, but they came in as like a group, and they were kind of obviously Walter Gunther, whatever, was always the ring general, and like he was the guy, and everybody else was below him. I mean, it's honestly kind of comparable to Roman Reigns and the Usos. You really, same dynamic. You have the guy, and then you have essentially the lackeys. I mean, but and obviously it's a recipe that's been used. So like, they might have to print off a new recipe because it's getting pretty faded. So
I think they're working on something.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but even with like them around, I mean, he really still was very dominant. And he would more times than not say, "Hey, stay the heck back there. I'm gonna go handle my business." And so, I mean, I feel like Gunther, I mean, like, it's nice to have those, but like, I feel like where they're trying to push Gunther is beyond those two, or any of it. I feel like he's going into the stratosphere by him. He doesn't need anybody else behind him. He doesn't need anybody doing his bidding. He doesn't need a mouthpiece, And so I feel like he's moving beyond needing help or a mouthpiece to establish his dominance, currently. So, so you have stupid Dominic Mysterio and Carlito. That, obviously they lost to the War Raiders because Dominic and Carlito take L's, and I mean they're like literally like the snails in a fish tank. Okay, like I really, and it's like, and then you have like Finn and JD McDonough literally like a step above that. And it's like we all know Finn would be way freaking better by himself, right? I mean, I think I think we can all agree that Finn by himself is better. He doesn't need, and it's like the gimmick he has in the Judgment Day, he could run that gimmick by himself, and I would still be fine with it.
You know,
Like-
I think we're fantasy booking really quickly. I think this could be a great lead in for Gallows and Anderson, and we can finally get WWE's version of the Bullet Club.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be too sweet. I'm just saying, I want to see an unhinged Finn Balor with Gallows and Anderson.
yeah, and I think him being a heel with the Judgment Day is not the same as him being a heel in Bullet Club. And you know, I think he's pushed to a weird dynamic of basically still kind of being the lackey for the champion. I mean, you just have Liv and Raquel to answer to, and then it's like you have the hierarchy of Liv, Raquel, Finn, Dominic, JD McDonough, and Carlito. Like that's essentially how that tier works.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I would
I
want
just
to
don't
see
see
Finn.
Judgment. I don't see Judgment Day going anywhere. I couldn't
I'm not
speak.
editing that, so
That's fine. I really don't care.
Judgment Day.
But
I mean, that's accurate. That's accurate. But so we get, obviously, this is, you know, leading into what we already know, but like Bronson Reed obviously defeats Seth Rollins with obvious, you know, outside interference from obviously the same Zulu crew we seem to see more times on every show. But yeah, so obviously Bronson Reed joins essentially
Zulu crew?
Yeah. Or should I say the solo crew? Sorry. Anyways. Just it's just words.
What?
that crappy Samoan group.
Oh, but
We'll all talk later.
yeah, you can drill me on whatever you have to offline, so no one. I have to assert my dominance on this podcast, and then you can beat me up later. You can 1-star me on the next Uber. You're like, this guy was rude.
Oh,
Guy sucked.
oh.
I
Yeah.
hate him.
They watch for the cringe.
It's a 3-star. It says aggressive driving. He
Oh,
was speeding. He flipped off an old guy in a minivan.
no,
He's
no,
up there driving like
no.
Oh
I'll give
my
you 4
God.
stars just to mess up your day, but not enough for you not to be paired with me or matched with me again.
Oh, that is true. You gotta stay behind the you gotta stay. You can only go so far.
Right.
But okay. So SmackDown. What a show. Holy crap. So we'll obviously start with the lesser important things. So Chelsea Green obviously gets the win over Bianca and Blair Davenport. Honestly, I thought that was a good triple threat. Obviously the fact that Jade goes through a car window obviously kind of put a wrench in Bianca's attention. I thought Blair Davenport honestly put up a pretty good fight. It's weird to see Chelsea Green, but you know what? I mean, out of exactly. I know. Bring back Samantha Irving. You know what's funny is that they actually say her name in the beginning of it, like Samantha Irving. When her music hits and says Chelsea Green.
So yeah, now she's over on AEW.
No.
I don't think she's supposed to be
No,
kind
I
of
think
she
she-
just wants to be a mom. Literally, Ricochet said numerous times, like he just wants to say, "I'll be a mom."
Well,
And
I
that's
mean,
fine.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what Becky's doing.
Yeah, but
they both have
she
kids.
says she's coming
I
back
think she
though.
wants an album. I think she wants to
Becky.
entertain
Yeah.
and perform. So yeah, I unless something changes, but I like Chelsea Green potentially becoming the first women's United States championship just because of what the internet is saying about her attitude in the back, the roles that she's been given and taken, and just being able to run with those lack of creative moments, or
She's been
being
helping
able
out a
to,
lot of the younger talent in the back.
yeah. So I think that is a great reward for her if she does get it.
Yeah.
Bailey, I don't think it'll make or break her career, but it could be something to be said about the other horsewomen, other WWE horsewomen, that she could be the first to hold a championship that isn't Charlotte, that isn't Becky, that
Well, and yeah, I think stepping out of those being, because we've literally been living in the same kind of champion era, obviously with the exception of the last couple of years where they've switched it up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we need to move on beyond those women, and there's nothing wrong with them ever holding, titles, currently anymore. I mean, it's not like we're excommunicating them, but we have to move forward. And I think,
Yeah.
like I said, giving Chelsea that, because that's how you get championships, is that you are earned, it is earned, and you are respected on the back, and that's what gets you championships. That's what gets you opportunities.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'd be perfectly okay with it.
How would
But,
everyone feel? How would everyone feel if Tiffany Stratton cashed in and became the first Women's United States champion?
No, I don't want that.
All right.
I don't want it to. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time,
I see her cashing it in on Nia.
But we had Austin Theory do something exactly similar.
I mean,
He failed.
I
think
mean,
he
we
failed,
did.
didn't
I
he?
mean, Austin Theory cashed in for the United States Championship. But and then you obviously seen Obafemi go after the North American. But Chelsea Green isn't just some new schmuck. Like, she's not going after secondary with that, or sorry, not Chelsea, Tiffany Stratton. Like, she's pulled her weight, and I'm all for it, because what if this particular, let's say she cashes in on Liv Morgan, right?
Mhm.
Now, what would that do for the power dynamic, of essentially the top of the women's division? You have Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton who like each other, essentially. Like, you didn't cash in on me. Like, now you have that. But the only problem is with cashing in on Liv Morgan is the fact that changes the Judgment Day's relevancy. And, I think the person that's taken that title from Liv is the woman standing next to her.
Yeah.
She's not going to ride her coattails forever. I'm sorry. Raquel is an absolute monster, and you're guarding a leprechaun, okay? Like, I'm sorry. You have Liv Morgan, who's a tiny little fart. Yeah. And so, like, she's not going to play second fiddle for too long.
No.
Like, at the end of the day, Raquel wants a championship, and I think if we're fantasy booking per se, Tiffany goes after Nia, wins that title, stays on the same show. Maybe they have a couple feuds. Maybe Tiffany wins straight up and solidifies the win.
You have to look
Raquel
at.
will definitely.
Plus, you have to look at Liv Morgan's track record with teams, with people.
Oh
she
yeah,
had.
I mean,
with Rhea, they split because.
I mean, go back to the Riot Squad.
Yeah, and then you had her partner now. They were a tag team and they split.
Yeah, I think that the truth will eventually find its way to the surface. Because I don't think Raquel is going to play second fiddle that long.
No.
So
biding her time.
So we've gotten the reemergence of Shinsuke Nakamura. Definitely a little more twist with him now.
He looks like a Western came in. He did. He seriously, his outfit looked like a Western.
I mean, the black jacket, the
Western
black paint,
cowboy.
Oh, a Western. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, my brain just was absolutely.
I know you look tired over there. Just don't fall asleep and start snoring.
Oh gosh,
no.
I
Have
would
to drop
just
it to
turn
2
off
screens.
everything and leave.
Good thing muting him is a click away. But you
Or
can see him
just
on the
closing
screen. You
him
can see him on
down.
the screen going.
Just snoring.
And then he goes straight onto his mic.
Mhm.
We just seen Tim yell simultaneously. Hey, wake up! So back to the task at hand. Let's not make fun of Frederick's work schedule when he's tired. So obviously, LA Knight is defeats Santos. Good match.
It was a great match.
It's so weird though, is because like we're having LA Knight kind of walk the tightrope of heel and face. Like if you just kind of see how he is, he's got a little more chip on his shoulder, a little bit more frustration, a little bit more anger on there. I mean, obviously, I don't think he's too likable at the point to to fully go heel or anything, but yeah, we definitely are gonna get a Shinsuke LA Knight match probably at War Games because we only have 3 matches, I guess, 2 War Games matches. So,
But those war game matches are going to go on for at least 30 minutes each. So,
we all know the
I would
women's
think,
one's going to start the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say at least an hour and 15 for both of those matches, both of the war games matches.
but you're usually at about a 3.5, 4 hour, probably closer to 3, but yeah, I just thought there's gonna be more than 3 matches. I don't know which ones are, possibilities. Cody and Kevin could be something. I think maybe they're gonna really build that one, and let that thing cook a little bit more. But
I'm going to say that I could see that match being probably something at Elimination Chamber.
yeah, we could see Cody defend it at Elimination Chamber, but
Who knows?
It's we wait and see, because sometimes there's nothing for it. Like even sometimes on when I go on YouTube and I search WWE rumors, sometimes they don't even have anything. Sometimes it's just the same videos and you're like, so no one's got anything. So and I think that's good sometimes though. I'd rather be in a little bit of land of mystery than have things foreshadowed or someone say, "Oh, I talked to this insider and that insider," and kind of ruins the surprise. That's why I like the authenticity of the whole CM Punk joining the OG bloodline, which we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it's I like being surprised once in a while, and I think we're all on that same page. But speaking of Cody and Kevin, interesting face off with them. I loved Kevin saying he dressed himself to the 9 with a tuxedo T-shirt. That was pretty
I used
pretty
to have
classy.
that T-shirt.
I think we've all had one of those T-shirts, but yeah, so a lot of the things Cody said were pretty valid. A lot of the things Kevin said were pretty valid. After all the bloodline nonsense, as soon as Cody went into that tag match with Roman, that's when Kevin flipped. And he's like, we've been I've been sitting here dealing with the bloodline for 4 years, and I'm finally past it. And then here you go. We're pals, we're friends, we're buddies. And then all of a sudden you go tag up with Roman. Cody did bring it on himself. I really think with the depth of that exchange.
Well, let's talk about the logic behind Kevin being salty about Cody and Cody being upset with Kevin for turning his back on their friendship. And I am under the impression that Kevin Owens is frustrated. And when Kevin Owens is frustrated, he's a dangerous, unpredictable person, right? That's his character. So he's frustrated that he couldn't beat Cody. He's frustrated that Cody sided with Roman to get rid of the bloodline out of his business. And it wasn't that it was, oh, we're best pals. It's no, it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If I don't deal with this right now, they will continuously interfere and interject and cost me this championship.
Yeah, I mean,
What else am I to do? Like call upon you? You're being
yeah,
upset because I'm even speaking to Roman Reigns.
yeah. I
So
mean, there's a lot of angles to look at the whole dynamic. It's just like on the surface, if we're going how the recipes and how things kind of get played out, basically a lot of what they were back and forthing was more or less like, I did this, this, and this, and no one was there for me, blah, blah. And like, and a lot of people's storylines clash with Bloodline OG anyways, just because for 4 years they basically ran roughshod over both brands. And so, I mean, it's justifiable frustration for Kevin. It's justifiable, situation, with Cody and Roman. I mean, there's so much things intertwined right now. Like if you looked at storylines, it looked like a spider web right now because there's so much things that cross over. There's so many things that are like just intertwined in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's Judgment Day stuff or Bloodline stuff, it just seems to everything like is so intertwined right now, and you just like you pick a side essentially, right? I mean, like much like you guys, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, right? Like you got to pick a side at some point, like whether you like it or not. Like I feel like you kind of get pressured into basically like, okay, either I'm going to go on this side of it and what he's saying, or I'm going to go on here and hit, what he says. And so, but like I think that's just the dynamic of the mess that it is.
yeah,
I'm kind of playing devil's advocate really because like I'm not too invested as far as like I really care what happens with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes because Cody Rhodes' title reign has been like stale cheese crackers. So and Kevin is just kind of doing Kevin things as he's done for the better part of his career. He
yeah.
basically has a
Now,
nasty habit of teams and then breaking the teams and then teams and then breaking the
yeah,
teams.
Kevin can make a program very interesting, with his presence and his promo skills. He can make a lot of programs work and a lot of storylines work. I just, I, this is like maybe something you were alluding to. It's just you could go either way. You can be like Team Kevin on this, or you can be Team Cody on this. It's the argument can go either way. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like I can understand you're more frustrated at the fact that you couldn't beat Cody.
Right. Well, and yeah, because
Clean.
Kevin's
You
had his
couldn't beat
opportunities.
Cody clean. Now, if
Yeah.
we would have got this Kevin Owens when they had
When they
their
faced
match,
off, yeah.
yeah, we
It,
might they could have
well,
really could have
and
booked it to go the other way, and
yeah,
we wouldn't
because
have.
Cody didn't want to do something and Kevin didn't want to do something. And so if like you said, yeah, if we would have this Kevin in that match, Cody wouldn't be champion, right? Because Kevin would have
Right.
done what he had to do to win.
At
And
least that's the thought, and maybe we would have got heel Cody instead of
right.
heel Kevin, and I just it can just
However it
go either
spins.
ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I am tending to gravitate towards. I don't see anything. I don't see the decision that Cody made was wrong. It was the decision Kevin didn't like, but it wasn't the decision that was wrong for Cody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that type of storytelling coming down from creative and being presented to everyone is really interesting and really fascinating, and that's what I would like to explore and learn more about. Is like these real life situations that are happen to happen on a television in a professional wrestling ring. So I just
Well, and
yeah,
perception is not always reality. I
right.
mean, and reality is not always and so it's like it's really a thin line. Like I don't care how this goes. Because I was for Cody when he won the title, but I'm probably in a majority crowd that like you don't see the we want Cody stuff anymore. Okay?
No.
Like we want who's next? And the sad thing is they're gonna drag it out to WrestleMania, which obviously is still only 3 months or 4 months away, but like it's like, oh, we gotta deal with this for that long.
There's something to be said about letting stories mature authentically, and I think we're going to start to see the Cody reign start to mature and getting ready. He's got to get, I think, getting past this this story with Kevin. I think that starts to lead us to wrapping up his his reign as champion. And I don't mind him holding on to that championship for a year. I think it's not necessary for him to hold on to it past WrestleMania. And if he dropped
Yeah.
it before WrestleMania, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. I think with the bloodline, everything, no matter who they put that on, is going to pale in comparison because that is so engaging and so it's a very high priority with the WWE because it is so well received. In any Nearly anybody in that position would have suffered, including CM Punk, because it is so engaging. However, they would have made a way to take some of that energy for CM Punk versus what they've done with Cody. And I 100% am under the conspiracy theory that because Cody didn't play his role when they wanted to turn it over for The Rock and Roman Reigns, this lackluster championship run is kind of punishment. Contractually,
Yeah.
he's going to get a title run. Get it, do it, get it done and over with, and that's it. And it's kind of like, well, you guys got what you want, but the side effect of it is it's not going to be very good for you, and he probably won't get another. He probably won't get another run. And
Yeah.
and,
It's
and that's and
and
that's
that's the thing
yeah.
but like I still want freaking Sheamus to get his though. Like,
If Sheamus get his, then by
R-Truth
golly,
get his.
then our truth should get his. And I am not against Sheamus. Matter of fact, I would want to see Sheamus get a championship, IC championship run before CM Punk gets a title.
I
I
think
think
that's fair.
that is fair. If CM
Yeah.
Punk is going to get a
It's
championship run, Sheamus should get his triple crown and his IC championship run, and it should be celebrated.
well, and
And
CM Punk is going to be long-term story booking.
right.
And because we already have essentially what we have right now is the fact that Paul Heyman was the wise man, essentially, not that name, but to CM Punk before he was to Cody or to Roman Reigns. And
He
so
was the
we
wise man for
was he
CM Punk.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean,
Did CM Punk refer to him as the wise man?
Yes.
yeah. So so again, this is some long-term, long story booking. 10+ years in the making. And so the bloodline stuff,
Those promos between those two.
dude,
Ooh,
it's
AEW is
well,
gonna get
okay,
brought up,
and
just like I accidentally
so
just did. But I'm just saying,
okay,
I'm here.
now
I'm here
so
for him.
if you caught any of the glimpses of the after SmackDown went off air moment, there was so many eggs. It's like it literally was like Easter. Okay, so you had Paul Heyman, one dressed just like Solo Sikoa. You had Paul Heyman give a nice little wink to Jimmy Uso. Don't know what that means, but I feel like these are small seeds planted in the like my thing is that Paul Heyman being back doesn't mean Paul Heyman is back with the bloodline, right? Because yes, he is who he is, and maybe he just tosses Roman aside, and maybe he goes back to being the wise man for CM Punk, and maybe we get CM Punk getting invested in, and but the thing is that what does Roman do? Like, if Roman's not champion or in the picture of being a champion or going, or like this War Games match, like it sucks because if he's not champion, I feel like there's just not a lot. Like,
You know what?
he's a draw. But like he would go to like a limited schedule and be a catch
I
like
think
Brock
he already
Lesnar versus
wants
being
to.
a
I
continue.
think he already wants to do that, just with his health concerns, his family, etc. I think for the most part, they've done what they can with Roman Reigns. Right now, it's just letting Roman the character just be Roman Reigns, and he doesn't need a championship to solidify him, to bring him to the highest level. He doesn't. He walks in the building, it's sold out. He shows up here, it's sold out. He shows up there, it's all good. I think now the work that Roman is doing is setting up other family members for success with his character work, with whatever things he does backstage, how he's nurturing them. I think that is what I think that's the business side of it. But like the entertainment side, what we see and what we critique on is probably something along the lines of, where does this character go? I think for me, the only possible outcome from all of this is Roman Reigns by himself redefining what his legacy is. He's got, a very dysfunctional family, to say the least. He doesn't know who he can truly trust to have his back. He doesn't know if, everyone is going to turn on him. He doesn't know if they're all going to support him. He knows he's got to go one-on-one with CM Punk at some point. He's got to go one-on-one with Jacob Fatu at some point.
I can't wait.
Yep. So right there, he's got enough to deal with. He does
so
not need.
There's a lot for him to do without having to have any title, because essentially he's like, and honestly, in his so he debuted, so he's been in WWE essentially since 2010, right? Whether that's the the Indies versus NXT, and here we're at now, is that he's headlined WrestleMania, and like I feel like his career in let's say 10 years, because we'll say 4 years is like independent and character build. So 10 years he's done in 10 years what it took John Cena to do in like 15 to 20. I mean, what's left? So
I don't know what is left for Roman, but I know that we've got at least 3 really big conflicts for him. We've got Jacob, we've got CM Punk, and we've got The Rock. And all of those stories are intertwined. So I believe wholeheartedly it'll culminate with The Rock versus Roman Reigns. When we get that match, it'll probably maybe sometime next year. Maybe, perhaps. Who knows?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get through the John Cena thing before we do anything else.
I mean, I don't think John Cena interrupts that, but I think John Cena makes it more of a challenge to make sure that everyone is satisfied with what they're seeing. And I totally forgot about John Cena. So I would like to know and see it all and have it all come to a head, and let's start really developing and pushing the new performers that are up. And I think Jacob Fatu is up next. Um I think Jay and Jimmy reuniting for tag teams, I think could be really interesting, especially if we can get the Usos versus Motor City Machine Guns. That could
Yeah.
be really special. But I know Jacob Fatu's up. You know, if we can get the Gorillas of Destiny and we can get the New Japan Bullet Club version of them, I think that would be very good for people to show what those two are capable of when it comes to storytelling, because I still have faith in them. Um, I don't know about Solo, and quite frankly, I don't care. I don't. I just. I just.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
His character does not interest me, and I don't. I don't like watching him. I think he is a Wish version of Zilla Fatu. There, I said it.
I don't think you're wrong.
You know,
Yeah.
but so we lost a guy, but I hope he'll be back. So when you were watching this whole thing transpire with CM Punk being introduced with Paul Heyman, what was your initial take?
I think the take was the fact that CM Punk was there to avenge Paul Heyman, and that's really the skinny of it. I don't think he's there for anybody but Paul Heyman, because literally he's said on numerous times he's a Paul Heyman guy, and he's been with Paul Heyman for an exuberant amount of time before Roman Reigns was ever a thing. And so I think he's doing this for CM Punk, not for Roman Reigns, not for Jimmy J, not for Sammy. Like, this is purely him doing a solid for Paul Heyman. And I think in a weird twist, I think that CM Punk pins Solo Sikoa. I think he's gonna get the GTS on Solo Sikoa, and he's gonna pin him for the win. And we're gonna be left shocked and awed. And then CM Punk is gonna go his separate ways because he avenged Paul Heyman. He did what he had to, and now he's gonna go back after the title. I think this is merely a move for avenging Paul Heyman. That's my thought. So
Yeah, I didn't like this outcome, and we in a previous video I had spoken about what I would, my pipe dream, or how I would fantasy book Paul Heyman's return, and to me this seemed lackluster. And the reason why Seth Rollins felt like such a natural is because of the beef he has with Big Bronson Reed. And with that match being tainted, because it does it, and I just don't think right now I'm having a challenging time accepting Paul Heyman and CM Punk getting back together, because before Paul Heyman went through the table at Madison Square Garden, CM Punk had came to SmackDown, and Paul Heyman specifically uttered the words, "Take me with you," and he didn't. And then he was left to suffer through that, through that experience.
Yeah,
And to me that
there's a lot of angles.
Yeah, to me that just seems like, man, that just seems like that's a plot hole to me. Why would he come back? What made him come back?
I mean,
to me,
I think there's plenty of like holes in the storylines of WWE. I mean, if you think about the same thing with like Dominic beat Damian, and he was supposed to be number one contender, and then the following week they have a fatal 4-way, and so they just kind of tossed, they just like kind of just swept it under the rug, and then Dominic didn't bring it up, and so I feel like they thought about it and they're like, or maybe that was intentional. I mean, maybe it was like, well, you kind of won whatever, so we're just gonna put you in a fatal 4-way and we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's just down to happen. I think sometimes stories just get they sound exciting and then they get a little bit of a reaction, and being that Triple H has said he listens to fans, and maybe the fans are like, yeah, we don't really want this, or and so maybe they leaned or like, yeah, I don't really like this. We don't like Dominic. Dominic's not a contender for anything, and they're just kind of like, yeah, we need to like bot. We just kind of just kind of push someone out to the side and move on with our day. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, honestly, think it's just kind of funny that the Bloodline story stuff is more invested than the heavyweight champion. I mean,
and
now
I
it's not
think
even about the Ulafala anymore. Now it's just like there's just grievances between the two, and there's just
right.
tension, and like it's
And
less about that.
Yeah, I think the arrogance of Solo Sikoa, there's so many layers. I need for everyone who is saying that The Rock is behind the push and the collective that Solo Sikoa has. I need there to be more hints towards that.
It's
because
the Rock stuff is so minusculely invested right now.
Right.
It's like he came out and then it was just like, and then he did nothing after it, and then you had the video clip of basically Solo saying that's part of the plan, it's part of the plan. But like like The Rock, that was the only moment. It was a hot second, and then it just fizzled out, and like.
But yeah, you don't. It's
there's no definitive direction.
Long-term storybooking.
I mean, and I think, I think my, a little bit of a pipe dream, obviously, as soon as we basically start season 3, we'll basically be on our way to, WrestleMania season, on the road to WrestleMania. But I really think that we're gonna get John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and he's gonna win his 17th. And I think that's a casual way for him to.
Is John Cena
take the belt and then vacate it, and then it goes and does something else, because Roman in The Rock is more important right now than Roman going back after his title or The Rock going after, because the whole Roman and Rock thing was supposed to happen last year, and it didn't happen, and then we got the We Want Cody stuff, and so then those plans changed, and so we haven't got a solidified Rock versus Roman moment, and we just need that to happen. And I think the only viable person, if you're gonna put anybody on the top tier of, let's say, night 2 main event, you're gonna do Cody versus John Cena, because that's the draw, that's the moneymaker, right? That's his last hoorah. And so I think giving him that on the way out, and him basically officially retiring, let's say comes back Monday, the day after, or I guess technically be Friday because they'd be on SmackDown, or it can come on Monday too, I guess. But like, and he just says, hey, this is it, I'm laying it down, and I'm leaving and I'm done. But I have that 17th to now put myself, on the top of the amount of championship list, because they can do that for John Cena with not really watering down the title, but just making new title contenders outside of Cody once he's done. Because like you said, Cody, the belt needs to come off Cody, right? And so if we bring the belt off Cody, give it to John Cena, give him his 17th, and then you can create a new tournament for the title. And I don't know. Maybe we go. I don't know what the exact PLE schedule is for 2025, but so you have plenty of places you could put a tournament in to have, that, you know what I'm saying? Like it just, you have that build.
Yeah, I
You
don't
can,
know. I don't know if I would have him like retire as champion or have him be beaten as champion. I don't know what he would prefer, but to me, he seems so much like a traditionalist that he would go out like putting someone
well,
over.
it
So he
looks
would be
like,
champ if
yeah.
he is champion, he would put someone over with winning that championship on his way out. I don't think he would just be like they wouldn't do it as they did with Sting's final match.
Right.
They would definitely probably John would really push for that, and I
I mean,
think,
but it would also
Triple H would
be,
agree.
just a good segue to exiting Cody's reign, um, with not really tarnishing too much. I mean, so let's
Yeah,
say, okay,
I
so
don't
you
have a
got
problem with
Royal,
Cody
so
losing
yeah, so we have
anywhere in
beyond
between that.
WrestleMania, we have Backlash, we have
Mhm.
King of the Ring, Clash of the Castle, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. So I mean, like Backlash, King of the Ring, maybe King and Queen of the Ring culminates. Maybe that becomes a tournament for the championship, because that would be essentially be, roughly a month and change out of WrestleMania. And so maybe that would give
Yeah.
build to have that King of
Yeah,
the Ring
I
tournament culminate to the vacant championship. I mean, and that's just, and like,
I
and
think
obviously we don't know.
a vacated championship is like is a cheap way out. And it's not to dismiss
Yeah, I mean,
your
it's an
fantasy
easy
booking.
way.
It's not
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like there would be a lot of loopholes with it and a lot more uncertainty as opposed to giving John Cena like a finality and losing a championship in the ring at WrestleMania because you're retiring and putting someone over as you're leaving. That to me that
I
speaks to
mean,
John Cena's
yeah, I mean
character.
that's the
Like
same thing. It's the same thing Brock did to Cody on the way out, But like, there just has to be a moment where we move out of the Cody era. Like,
yeah,
we know
I
his
think
title.
I
We know
think
his title
Cody
reign is chintzy. It's boring. We're literally on cruise control with him being champion, and I feel like, I mean, if you push that, so if you have a month and a half to do matches, and obviously, like, King of the Ring doesn't have to be. That's just what's on the books. But like, I mean, I feel like, there has to be a situation where we move on from Cody being champion. And that's
so
not saying we don't love Cody and we don't love the song, and we don't love the presentation, we don't love the moveset, like, but the problem is that his story, we finished his story.
it's yeah,
And what's left for Cody if he doesn't have the championship? Because his whole coming back was to finish the story. And
yeah,
so does that
and
mean he retires and he's done? Or like,
uh, I think
I
the
don't think he's gonna
WWE
retire, but
universe
like,
needs they need a heel Cody Rhodes. They need a heel Cody
and
Rhodes.
that would make more sense than him running the cruise control that we're on with him right now.
You know, here's where I will take that. I would want to see Cody Rhodes lose at the Royal Rumble,
Ooh.
maybe potentially trying to get himself in the Royal Rumble match so he can be, so he can have a guaranteed match at WrestleMania for the championship. But I would want to see Cody Rhodes lose that championship to a John Cena at WrestleMania. I would want to see I would not be mad at seeing John Cena holding that championship until WrestleMania night 1 and he drops it to CM Punk.
Yeah.
And then we get CM Punk's championship reign.
I mean,
We get
maybe
a
that's the transition. Maybe
yeah, we
maybe
get a,
maybe
yeah.
maybe CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble. I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
You know what? The only thing I think I'm against is vacating the championship, because that to me speaks as that to me is like a cheap way out, when I know for a fact that John Cena is really big on wrestling traditions,
Yeah.
and him going out like
Passion
that would,
for it.
yeah, him going out like that would be like kind of like an insult. If he got really injured, like he busted up his knee and he couldn't go, he would give up the championship then, and then I could understand him doing that and him retiring and stuff like that. Fine. But for him just to say like, hey, I beat my last opponent and now I can hang this up and go on about my acting career and other things. Nah,
Well,
I don't think that doesn't that to me seems like, ugh, you
well,
know.
and the downside to the fact that like John Cena, oh, I'm gonna retire. Like you haven't been
Mhm.
like if you honestly like now that I'm kind of like looking at the numbers here, like the dude really hasn't been around for 5 years. Like, you make little appearances and blah blah blah, and you get paid more than the people that are actually working week in and week out. Like, how if you've not
Contract. I
wrestled in
mean,
5 years, why do I care that you're gonna retire? You could just stop. You could literally just stop showing up,
I
and I would be okay with that.
I think it's a disappointment to fans if a performer is just like, "All right, I retired. I'm done. You know, thanks. See you.
Well, and
Bye."
it's like that's like, but
When
like
that
do
performer
that
can
3 year, do
still
that three
go,
4 years ago.
you know,
Do
I,
that way longer ago. Like then we've just got nothing for 5 years, and then you come back at
you
Money in
know,
the Bank in Toronto and say, "Oh yeah, this is my last year." I'm like, you haven't even been wrestling for 5 years. You could have made up a freaking say you had an injury and you're permanently on the shelf and you decided to retire, and I'd have been fine with it.
you
But
know,
like,
I don't think I would have been fine with him not getting the opportunity to get this run.
yeah,
I think because it gives a closure to people, it gives finality to his in-ring career. And as much as I am kind of like neutral about John Cena, I think performers when I think performers that have given so much to the business and really believe in the work that they've done, and they've grown as human beings and characters, that there should be an opportunity for you to go out on terms that are respectable for you and your career. Like I think it would be incredibly shameful for the WWE for them to just release our truth and not have give him a some sort of heavyweight or world championship run. I think that would be incredibly disrespectful to him. Um, with someone like John Cena that's been pushed to the top and held there, and he's held his own being there. I think him being able to negotiate um, a run at and being able to say this is my last run at whatever I do. I want to make it the best and give the fans
I mean, but it's
the
not a
best that I
run. It's gonna
can.
be like two matches.
You know what? I would not be surprised if he has cleared his schedule and up until WrestleMania, however many weeks that is, 12, 13 weeks, that we get 10 plus matches from him. I think,
I don't think if we're getting literally essentially 3 months, we'll call it, of John Cena, we're not gonna get more than like two, three, 4 matches tops. And
I
it's gonna be
there's
lackluster. And honestly, now that I'm really thinking and saying it out loud, like
Mhm.
I don't care. Like
you know,
now that I'm really putting my mind to it. Okay, so he debuted November 5th of 1999, right? And
mhm,
here we are in 2024, so essentially 25
yeah.
years later, right?
Yeah.
And you know what we've gotten for the last 5 years? Nothing.
So,
We've gotten these
so,
appearances. We've
so,
gotten these like if it was like if you went to go do movies for, let's say, maybe a year or two, or I mean even some other wrestlers have done movies within still wrestling. So
yeah,
like, and obviously
they
they weren't as intense as the movies he's doing, But like,
Right.
you've just been flat gone, dude. You knocked down The Rock and you did the same thing.
Yep, he sure
Like,
did.
and
And
so the
and
fact that you're coming back to tell me you're done.
The WWE allowed it. They
Well, yeah, because they're still
negotiated it
cutting him
with
a
him,
check.
and they allowed it. They allowed him to do that because they know the return on investment would be he will bring more eyes to our product by giving him the freedom, and we still have ownership of some of the things that he uses, so we're still going to get a little bit of that money. He's talked about that on Shannon Sharp's podcast about ownership of his name. WWE has it. They get a little piece of everything he'll ever make, and he's cool with that. He actually supports it, blah blah blah.
Well, yeah,
So
I'd love to get a
so
paycheck for not doing anything.
they have done whatever he negotiated, and whatever they're honoring and he's doing, that's fine. If he decide, do I think that a wrestler should, quit wrestling to go be an actor, if Hollywood calls? Yeah, there's not a wrestler working right now
Well, yeah, I'm
that
not. I'm
would
not
that
denying
no
going and getting paid like off
no
off of your fame.
doing to
I'm go
be to
for it.
yeah.
But like the Miz did it. Like Roman did some movies. Sheamus did some movies.
You know
Like,
what?
I mean,
Roman is working an incredibly limited schedule since he lost his championship. It's been planned. He's taking time off. He's exploring other things. He's probably being put in a position so when this whole bloodline saga things are done, he can take off. My point with defending John Cena of all characters is that I think that his body of work dictates the the schedule that we get from him. Plain and simple.
I just don't think you can justifiably come back after 5 years. Like, think about that, 5 years. Like,
people
it's the gap that gets me. Not necessarily the fact that he went up and did Hollywood. It's the fact that he just disappeared. And yeah, and he's pulling a paycheck, and I get it. You're pulling for, you're essentially NIL. I get it. But like, I understand you getting money and you've done a lot for the business. But the problem is that you just make casual appearances once a year for 5 years essentially, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna retire. Like, it's not like you had a serious injury like Big E and you just said, God, after this injury, man, I'm still gonna be invested in WWE, but I'm hanging up my boots. That would make sense, but he just left. I don't blame him for leaving.
So do you have the same criticism that The Rock does? Because The Rock is that
The Rock is every fiber of my being.
The Rock has done. He's taking the exact same playbook, and there will be other wrestlers who will take that exact same playbook. That The Rock has used in order to get somewhere. At some particular point, there becomes this balance between what I'm known for and what I'm known as doing as a professional wrestler, and what I envision myself doing as an actor and as an entertainer. Now, do I think that there could have been times where John Cena could have been in the ring and to work and to have matches? Sure. But there's also been other interviews with The Rock and with John Cena saying the reason why they weren't able to. It's like when you're signed to these big movies, you've got to have your own insurance, and that insurance is at least $1 million+ in case you get hurt, because they are investing millions of dollars to have you a part of their production.
And that's the thing is, I get it. I get the whole
Mm-hmm.
Still getting a paycheck from WWE, but then it's like, okay, so you think, okay, yes, I was great for the business. I promoted the business. I was the face of the business for an exuberant amount of time, but
Mm-hmm.
at what point in time do we move forward? I mean, and then we're gonna have John Cena essentially be I'm gonna retire, and then and then 5 years on the road now we're gonna be Goldberg 2.0, and John Cena's gonna come back for some Saudi match.
You know what?
I see him being one of the CEOs, whatever, like the way The Rock is on the board.
Yeah, I think John Cena will have the same integrity as like a Shawn Michaels, but even more so when he says he's done, like being in ring talent. I believe 100% that we won't get another John Cena match. We may get John Cena being in the ring, cutting a promo or something like that, but we won't get another John Cena match. And I'm good with that. I'm also good with him being gone off and on for 5 years, because if he wasn't gone, who would we not be cheering for now?
I mean, I get it. If you base it off of the product we have now, there'd essentially be no place for John Cena. I get that, because we've moved
not
forward
even
essentially.
that. There wouldn't be a place for others that we are cheering for. Would we have the Carmelo Hayes? Would we have Andrade back? Would we have Judgment Day?
I get it from the
would we even
longevity of
have
what we
the
have now.
bloodline? You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Would we even have the
like,
bloodline?
But it's just like, you know, and it's like, it's almost like he's like, well, I was gonna come back at this point, but there's just too much going on, and I wouldn't fit in. Like, and maybe if you look at it from that perspective, like, he doesn't have anywhere to interject, and he hasn't anywhere to interject in the last 5 years back into WWE because of the storyline strength and the depth of the roster and the amount of talent we have. I guess if you look at it from that, I guess I'll give him his roses on officially being done. I feel like it's more like I'm making plenty of money doing movies. I don't need to come back and wrestle because there's nothing there for me. And I guess if you look at it from that, I guess, okay, I get it. Yep. But I think this is his definitive moment where he's like, okay, I'm officially hanging up the boots. And, I think.
So that interview that I've just mentioned with Shannon Sharpe, he did, I think gives a much more insight of why he's calling it now, as opposed to just coming back and working a full-time schedule, you know, because the movie business is dried up or whatever have you. And I'll paraphrase it, but it is worth a good watch, you know, especially, you know, the part about him like buying a car 10 years ago and then getting it just delivered, you know, this year. So basically it was the same reason why he doesn't have kids. Like, you know, he's 47. He can still go in the ring. He can. But there's so many other things that he wants to pursue and to do. He can't do it and be a wrestler and be a movie star and pursue this and pursue that. So the take that I got from what I watched was that he wants to hang up this part of his career, less is more, and be able to go full on into these next phases of life. At some particular point, professional wrestlers have to hang it up. No one wants to be a Terry Funk or Dory Funk Jr. and wrestling in their 80s because they either need the money or they're addicted to it. You know what? I would pay Ric Flair $25 to never wrestle again, ever.
Right.
You know, and
he'll deny that. It's like you make it 25,000, maybe.
No, you know what? If 1,000 people gave him $25, he would get his $25,000. So, but what
I guess if you say it from the perspective of the fact that like he just wants to make it more official, right? Like he's been doing 5 years, and he's just like, you know what? Like I'm good where I'm at. I don't need to continually be a full-time wrestler. Obviously, he hasn't been a full-time for, you know, the better part of 4.5-ish years. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I think this is just like his coffin's been closed, but it hasn't been nailed down yet. and so, like, maybe this is just him, like, you know what, dude, like, I need to stop giving people hope that I'm going to come back, and I just want to call it quits, have that last couple, you know, have those last matches. They're probably going to be more dream matches. Probably won't even be for titles. It'll probably just be dream matches. And,
let him have a series of dream matches.
And however he ends it is however he ends it.
Right.
And, you know, I'm just looking forward to who if it's not for the championship or anything else, who's gonna actually be the last match? Like,
Oh man, you
you
know
know, I
what?
mean, obviously, like that's a
it's
pipe dream
gotta
for a
be
different day. But like, you know, I
CM
think
Punk.
we'll
It's
let
gotta
that
be CM
fester,
Punk.
and we'll see what comes of 2025 going into WrestleMania. You know, the road to WrestleMania, and we'll hopefully get a definitive answer on who's the last one, right?
Right.
And you know, and I think you're right. I think it's just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm officially done. Because sometimes you're just like, you don't want to give people false hope that you're coming back. You're like, this is the nail in the coffin. I'm done wrestling. My boots are getting fully hung up. I'm done officially. Let's let what's going on right now cook.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe, I'm obviously just biased and I have an attitude about a lot of things, but not me.
Yep. Yep. Not
Yes,
you,
I admit
not you,
I have a
Seth.
ranting,
No,
I
not
have a
you.
ranting problem, but yeah, I mean, I think just the fact that, you know what, he's just like, I'm sitting on money, I'm good. I don't need to.
I think he's.
But I
I
really
think
think
he's sitting on so many opportunities, and him moving on gives him the ability to pursue those opportunities. It's like staying at a job way too long, and you just finally
Tim's
just
like,
said,
yep,
like, you know
Myers.
what, I need to do these other things. And I think John Cena has had the type of career,
I just hope they let him ride into the sunset with an appropriate opponent, and
it'll be CM Punk. There's nobody else that I can imagine today, right now, at this moment, that
James
is
Ellsworth.
worthy. That's
James Ellsworth.
maybe.
R-Truth versus John Cena. Headline of
You know what?
WrestleMania.
R-Truth versus John Cena at WrestleMania would be like a dream match.
It's his boy time hero, his hero.
You know what? That would be a dream match.
Hell no.
And let
that'll be a match that I will turn that'll be the match that I will turn the channel.
You know what?
Jim's like, I got a new TV coming.
I believe 100% R-Truth can cook in the ring when given the right time, the right story, and he has a good.
Shit, if I was at that WrestleMania, I'd be like, I'm going to get beer.
You know,
or
what?
I'm going to go take a shit.
You know what? I would watch.
Or I'm just going to take a nap.
You know, I would watch that match because so many crazy things would happen in that match. They both would hit attitude adjustments on each other, outside interference, attitude adjustments for everybody, and that's how the match would end. Yep, that's how the match.
Little Jimmy,
Little Jimmy,
and they would
R-Truth and Little Jimmy versus Johnny and Little Johnny.
That would be so huge for R-Truth. Just the push, but I digress.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to.
I'll let you dream on that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
reality
R-Truth is literally the only active wrestler that's literally been in the Attitude Era, just every era. So
yeah,
and he looks the same.
I would say it's going to be CM Punk or Randy Orton as his last match. R-Truth is a pipe dream, but I will put R-Truth at number 3 on my list. Those are the 3 people that I believe.
No,
not with that defib. Talk about insurance.
So we'll put a pin in this because we could nonsense. We've talked about John Cena for like 25 minutes, but like in my biasly hatred, but like, we will see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens Friday. We'll be back next week to go over the whole match card. So we really only have essentially 3 matches on the card. I mean, we'll just go with the hype, let's predict who we think. Now you have Damian versus Gunther. I'm just thinking Gunther's going to win and solidify himself. Now you have the men's. That could go either way, and I would either be happy or sad, but I would be content with being happy or sad. I feel like it has to lean towards the OG bloodline, given all the build. I think it would be a little bit insulting if Bloodline 2.0 wins, but I mean, never say never. And obviously the women's, I mean, I don't care. Like, let's be real, I don't care. I want
think,
Tiffany Stratton to cash in that night, period.
I think I would want to see Io Sky get the pin, or Lash Legend if she joins, to get the pin for the women's side. I don't think Rhea Ripley needs to get the pin. So yeah, I'm gonna go with I'll go with Gunther, I'll go with OG Bloodline, and I'll go with Team Rhea Ripley. Yeah, that's who I'll go with right now for those. Tim, what about you? Your mic.
I can't hear you. He disappeared. Well, we'll just assume I don't know why it's not working. That's weird.
We'll just assume that he said
we'll
CM
just
Punk.
Assume he said the same thing. So this is the Lockdown Podcast. Peace.